Rob Benchley. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Caroline? I don't see Caroline. Mary Lathrop will?
Hello. I can hear you.
Great. There's Angus in his car.
Hey, guys.
Hi. And Rob is here. Clement? I don't see Clement. Well, we have a quorum.
Yeah.
Someone's
Right.
actually signing in right now.
Okay, that's terrific.
All right, I'm here.
All right, there's Clement. Thank you very much. Let's see. Good morning. This is the open meeting of the Sconset Advisory Board. Is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, Governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings at a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to encourage to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with this agenda, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Sconset Advisory Board is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded. All attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of the body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Now we're turning to the first item on the agenda. Permit me to cover some ground rules. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down in the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to clearly and in a way it helps generate accurate minutes. Sorry. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. Taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged and speak through the chair. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And with that, I'll take a motion to accept the agenda. I think that's what I want to do.
I make a motion to accept the agenda.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All those in favor? Caroline? Caroline, do you, oh, you're muted. But I'll take that as a yes. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Mary Lathrop will?
Yes.
Angus?
Aye.
Thank you. Clement?
Yes.
And Rob is an aye. That's unanimous. All right. So we're into old business. Property name was Pam Murphy, and we have, I believe, Deborah Wilson. This is an application for a fence along the Bunker Hill Road. This is the second time we've seen it.
Chair, the HDC saw this on November 9th. I just noticed that they've got HSAB incorrectly in the comments, but
Right.
in the minutes, but it is SAB. So here you are.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, if I can just try to clear up some confusion, the, the plan you see on the screen, it's oriented uh, north, well, north is on the left, east is on the right. So this lot was part of some lots that were re-subdivided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Obviously, the town GIS, the website, the assessor's maps haven't reflected the change in that lot line.
That takes about 18 months, unfortunately.
And yeah, right, understandably. It'd be great to have a planning board layout of these lots with this application, but it's pretty clear from that one plan that's been
And
provided.
And Mr. Chair, Deborah is here in the call, and I do believe that was included in the last application, I think.
Okay, right, yes, it was. It's funny, we're just all used to seeing things north, south, north being at the top, but that is minor. So we're just talking about this lot that's on the corner of, it borders Bunker Hill Road on the bottom and New Street, am I correct, on the top?
That's correct.
All right. Or I mean, New Street on the left.
On the left.
Yep, okay. And so the Murphy house is not shown on this, but the newer house to the south is what's being shown.
Yeah.
Am I correct? Okay, thank you. Well, I'll give Deborah a chance to explain this again. And if you wouldn't mind pointing out some changes or clarifications that the regular HDC had asked you to provide, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. What has happened here in a brief review is that we have a subdivision. And the owner's dwelling is at 7 Bunker Hill Road. They have chosen to buy the lot of 5 Bunker Hill Road from Pam Murphy. At this point, the owners, the Coags, have no intention of putting a dwelling on this property. What they'd like to do is add a cedar fence that is standard fare on Nantucket. One of the changes that I've added is that on the lot for 7 Bunker Hill Road, you can see a memo at the top of that lot there that says there is an existing cedar fence there that runs from the back of that property. And that would be facing east, and it will run to the corner where it will join the new proposed fence. We've also been sensitive here to show any setbacks and existing trees and foliage in here, and including the existing plan, excuse me, that fence will be planted with an extensive planting bed with shrubs, and that's really the purpose of it, to create an attractive dwelling space. It is also has mature hedging on all 3 sides of it. And there's 2 accesses in the lot, one off of Bunker Hill Road and the second one from the dwelling lot at 7 Bunker Hill. The HDC Sconset Advisory Board has also asked us to consider changing the construction of that fence. The initial construction was shown through a photograph, excuse me, and in written detail that it was going to be cedar and pressure treated construction. I'm not able to supply you with a photograph to show that, but we will have certainly, as stated in this fence detail drawing, be compliant with the wishes of the SBA and have this be an all cedar construction. The posts, the caps, the boards, and all the cross rails will be quality cedar construction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rob. Do any members have any comments?
Rob, this is Clement. I
Thank
just
you.
walked by there. Fred and I just walked by there just to get because they do have that just green fencing up. Now this is beginning to make a lot more sense to me now that I know that the 7 Bunker Hill people have bought this 5 Bunker Hill property. I think that perhaps means there will not be a big house going in there. I think that was one of the reasons people were hesitant about that, because they were anticipating a house being situated somewhere on that property. But perhaps that will not happen. Maybe a guest house at some point, but nothing maybe right now. And the established hedge does cover the proposed fence. And I did go back around the back of the 7 Bunker Hill, and I did see the existing 5-foot high cedar board fence, and it is there, and it's not very wide. It looks like maybe 3 posts and 2 sections, but it is there, and it's behind Pam Murphy's kind of a shed. So I think I understand this now. The existing linden is huge, as is the sycamore, and those are not impacted. I don't think that the fence would go along there, along that line, maybe too close to the linden, but they know how to do this, I hope. So I don't have any issues with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Clement. Angus, I'd like to see you get back on the road. So if you'd like to comment, please do.
Thank you. Um, just reading over the comments from the HDC, I guess reinforces my original thoughts, which is the fences usually go as the existing 5-foot fence is between houses, and so it's not as often that there's a fence, of this design that stretches for the length of a piece of property, in this case, nearly 20 feet, without anything in front of it. It's not between houses, I guess, is my point. And the HDC in their comments, as far as I understand it, is that a 5-foot fence or a fence of this type would go up to the front of the house from behind, and then would change to something lower, or type 2 fence or some other thing, but it wouldn't continue towards the street beyond the structure. And the situation with this lot is that there isn't a structure. So that's telling me that the 5-foot fence really isn't appropriate. I would imagine that the privacy would be more natural if it were just a hedge of whatever height, whether it's 5 or 6 feet, as a backdrop for the gardens. The gardens sound beautiful, and I think that'll be a lovely landscape. But running the length of Bunker Hill and seen from New Street, the current proposal, I believe, is inappropriate. So I appreciate the details of the fence, the all cedar, which I think would be beautiful, but I would just look for it between structures rather than out in front of a structure.
Great.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Angus. Caroline, any thoughts?
Well, I guess I agree with Angus in that I think seeing well, I guess you'd see the end of the fence at New Street. And I'm having a little bit of trouble with where the building to the east is. I think I'm right, toward Pam's house. where it says locus up above. This fence, it goes along there, out to New Street. And then when you go left, yep, that's all hedge. Am I correct, going toward Bunker Hill Road?
I think so, yes.
Okay. It's just too bad. Where does the other house that's to the east end between the existing sycamore and the existing linden?
Carolina, I can speak to that. This is Mary. The house is sort of where you see the 122.57 inch mark.
Yeah.
There on the plan.
Yeah.
It's sort of between that and then the arrow up top. That's where Pam's house is. So it seems to me that, I mean, if they want to have, there's the adage, fences make good neighbors, but this doesn't seem like a very neighborly gesture to fence Pam's house in away from what these people are looking at. So, I mean, I could possibly see having a 60-foot run from the southern corner going north along the property line, almost to the linden tree. But then beyond that, why? I mean, it's just an eye break. You know, wouldn't it be nice to see more vista as you're walking along on Bunker Hill? And by the way, you can see through those hedges. They're not that thick at this time of the year. I just think there's too much building, especially when people don't have any intention of building a house on this property.
May I approach the chair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mary, I'm sorry, your comment is as to the positioning of the Murphy house is not correct. It is a story and a half dwelling that runs laterally parallel to the property line, to the fence line. It is kind of a long and a low dwelling, and it runs basically from the existing sycamore maple, give or take maybe to the 100-foot line. So it's a long, low, kind of a bungalow style house with a back recreational porch on the backside facing this lot. And the owner also has several pets. And I'm told that this is a fence that is, both parties are anxious to have it because of the recreational area on Miss Murphy's yard, and because she has several large dogs, several active dogs.
And thank you, Deborah. If I may, this is Rob, if I can add to that with sort of a question, is there not another vacant lot that now exists between 5 Bunker Hill and the Murphy lot, created by the most recent subdivision?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. All right.
See it, Mr. Chairman, could we see this? I mean, we're all describing something, but could we see it on paper, what we're talking about?
Hold on one second. I'm gonna pull up the previous submittal that has that A&R plan that the planning board endorsed. So just bear with me.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be really important because
Yeah, and I'll have to attach the two for the HDC tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful on the site plan where it shows the 7 Bunker Hill residence and the 5 Bunker Hill lot to show Pam's house. But from the aerial photograph, it looks like it's maybe goes as far as the linden tree and goes to where it says plan view, where the north arrow is, and the lot line. And the fence that separates those is existing. The 2 dwellings, I mean.
Here's the original. So here's the A&R plan. So
Okay,
correct me if I'm wrong, this is the owners of 5 Bunker. So they've merged lot 1 with theirs.
Well, we've not merged the lots, but that is true. We own both of them.
Common ownership. Yep, okay. Thank you.
And
So-
I would also like to confirm there is an existing fence there. Pam put up a chicken wire fence that is really unsightly, but does keep her dogs out.
So
gotcha.
to answer your question, Mr. Chair, there is lot 2 that's in between the owner's property, and I would assume this is Pam's home.
Mhm.
So there is lot 2.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Yes. And you might want to include to resubmit that when it comes up tomorrow.
I will have this available. It's difficult to for staff to have to do all
Merge all
that,
this.
but yeah,
I understand.
but for this case, I can do that. I'll
Okay.
do that after our meeting today.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, it's Clement. Do we
Hi,
know who
Clement.
owns lot 2?
Pam Murphy
Don't-
owns Pam Murphy owns lot 2.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
We bought lot 1 from Pam's former husband.
okay, it's all making sense. Thank you for the clarification.
And again, Pam Murphy is 100% in favor of this. She knows her elderly dogs aren't going to be retrained. They used to have the run of the property, and we're both just trying to kind of find the best solution to deal with that issue.
To make it work.
A wire fence embedded in a hedge is invisible and usually serves that purpose, is to keep dogs one
Boy.
side.
I couldn't agree with you more. We really tried the hedge route. It would be cheaper. It would be more in keeping with Sconset. Certainly, the minute we bought the property, we fixed the hedge on Bunker Hill Road and on New Street, which hadn't been cut in 20 years. And it's on its way to, we also irrigated it. So it's on its way to really coming back. However, it will be impossible to plant under those 2 trees. It would do damage. And secondly, there'll be no light under them. They're large trees and nothing will grow under them. What the diagram isn't also showing is there are 3 much smaller cherry trees kind of closer between the linden and our home. So Pamela and the fence guy were very concerned about planting under those trees, digging, and having any possibility of success. And then the fence, just to understand about protecting the trees, the fence guy is certain he can get the posts in at the right distances to where the sycamore and the linden won't be damaged.
Thank you very much. This is Rob. Just another comment. I think having this information really is helpful. It's sort of like an old-fashioned cattle fence rather than a spite fence.
Yeah,
Right. My impression is not that this is a spite fence. Both neighbors want a screen or separation in some sort of fence. And that's really perfect for being able to come to some sort of agreement about how that separation happens. If this lot is not being built on, I don't see a problem with having some undulation in a hedge, especially if there is sort of a random undulating flower bed or planting bed. There would be some flexibility to work around the linden. It looks like there's room to fit underneath the sycamore. But whether, it goes around on one person's land on one side and around the other person's tree on the other side. But it seems like the preferable thing is to have a planted screen rather than a hardscape screen of fence.
You know, I would also just like to make the point that visually, the hedge on Bunker Road and the hedge on New Street are going to do a great deal to you know, soften the cedar fence that you know that you're probably concerned about. So I mean, we're trying to get this thing aged in and as natural, and you know, not having it stand out. We think that's very important. So I think between the hedge on Bunker and New Street and the planting we're putting in front of it and the relatively low height, it should accomplish that. I have to just push back a little bit on, you know, the existing fence and a privet hedge is not going to keep her dogs at bay. And they, you know, they're pretty aggressive. They practically jump over the existing 4 fence already, and they are going to see through a privet hedge. And they're old, and they just like to bark, and you could ask around the neighborhood, everyone hears it. And it's not just aimed at us or at our dogs that are walking on the lot. It's just whenever a bike goes by or anything. And so, you know, we're not upset with the dogs, but we're just trying to create a more peaceful environment for Sconset. And visually, it's important that the dogs don't see us.
This is.
Thank you. You've made good points that you can see through the hedge, even when it's a good hedge, depending on the season. The dogs are old. I don't know how many years they have left, maybe 3 or 5. Fence is there for decades, and is as natural as fence can age. There isn't much natural about 118-foot, 5-foot fence.
I mean, that's your decision. That's why you know, that's why your committee makes that decision for the benefit of Sconset. And I don't know how long the dogs are going to live, and I don't know if she's going to adopt new dogs.
She probably will.
Yeah, but what I do know is, you know, I don't want to, you know, I want to naturalize this fence as soon as possible, and 5 years from now, it'll be beautifully landscaped. I mean, I you know, Deborah's working hard. We've had numerous conversations about what will cover the fence, and in 5 years from now, my aim is to have not, you know, you won't see the fence. I'd say 3 years you won't. So, you know, it's what can we control is what we're trying to work on.
That's correct, and I'd like to take this time to add an additional comment about the existing privet hedge on Bunker Hill and New Street. Additionally, that hedge has been renovated by the previous landscaper. So if it appears on the thin side now, even though we're into December, it is because there's been an extensive renovation. And it's been my experience that once those hedges, those privets are renovated in this way, they come back thicker. And so we're going to have more of a enclosure on this lot. We can plan on that being the case. Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Deborah.
right, Deborah. The hedges, cyclically, they have to get thinned out in order to get thicker. And there's a point where you just like they're skeletal and you look right through them, and then they grow in really thick and they're wonderful. And it just keeps going like that.
That's correct.
Any other members of my board have any comments? And I trust, Holly, you've been taking some of the comments down, and we'll pass our thoughts along to the HDC.
I don't have any further comments at this time, but I think we should move to put this to bed. I think we've covered all the issues that we need to, with showing the existing fence, where this will connect, showing the vegetation, and with Mr. Keogh weighing in and saying his intention is to plant an attractive garden here to mitigate the viewability of this fence, and being willing to share with us that both neighbors are very eager to have this structure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for your
that.
time.
And also the chair notes, appreciate Mr. Keough being a part of this conversation. That's really great. Thank you.
Thank you for your time today. I'm
Okay,
very appreciative.
thanks.
Yeah.
All right, Holly, so we can let our
We,
thoughts be known to the HGC.
yes, I have comments written down that I will pass along to the commission. We can go to other business if you'd like.
I think that would make sense.
And thank you to
All
the
right.
owner and Deborah Wilson for being in attendance today. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
really terrific. Thank you. Okay. Which computer am I looking at now? There we are. So let's move on to other business and just, I don't think the Marconi, we have any new information on that. I'm wondering if everybody had a chance to look at the Sconset area plan that was generated by the planning department to see
Yeah.
if we might consider using that as our base map as well.
Rob, this is
Um,
great. I
Yeah.
think that the Sconset area plan makes tons of sense. It's expanded from what we looked at from the work that you showed us last week.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. It covers territory that could be built on, lots that we know are possibly for sale. It really is very comprehensive.
And I like the zoning references too. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's,
So, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that if you're not familiar right now, this is the start of the master plan update since the 2009 master plan. And this, obviously, the Sconset area plan is one of several area plans of the island in different locations, obviously. I'm not familiar with where or if there's going to be any changes with that as far as their plan itself or any of the recommendations that are within their little plan. But this is the map that was adopted by NPDC through the master plan process and obviously town meeting. And to have it your area consistent with this plan would make sense. So I look forward to, I guess, forwarding your formal request to the HDC for their consideration.
Great. Thank you.
okay, great. And Holly, and I'm perfectly willing to do this as I was before, just writing a sort of a letter to the HDC. And I'm, but I want to be sure everybody's in agreement with it. So if we can take a couple of more meetings, and I will generate something for the next time and hopefully send you out something earlier individually referencing this map, and it'll be positive, and it'll be with the big thing in mind that the adoption of this is consistent with the town's area map of Sconset that would generally be adopted by the Civic Association and the Sconset Trust, if we're all on the same page, if you don't mind me putting it that way.
Nothing wrong with that.
If we get a consensus of that, I will draft that letter and send out copies to you all, and we can discuss it next time. So we'd like to leave this on the agenda. And if this is going to be a flexible zone, I could, or maybe not necessary, make note of that. That whatever just so it's consistent. And I think that's all we're after, because as you know, over the years, we've had different areas where we've gotten applications and then applications have been left off. And
Right.
if everybody's doing the same thing, there are no surprises. And I'm very happy that red line south of the Milestone Road does not go any further west.
Right, right here. And I will note this too, if you all are in agreement to this actual boundary, we can always have our GIS coordinator, although he's working remote, I could always shoot him an email and ask him to create a map that is the same boundary, but less busy, if you will. So it's easier to identify where your boundaries are if you wanted to. Very similar to, I'm looking up on my wall in my office, I have the historic structures boundary. I think that was revised a couple years ago when John was here. That obviously expands farther than the actual local historic district from 55.
Right.
So would be very similar to that, where you've got a bold line indicating where your actual area is. That's
Yeah.
something we can do too.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so I'll come up with our Magna Carta and I'll zing it by you all before our next meeting so you can look at it individually. And I think that's the way to do it. If anybody has any other thoughts on that.
Thank you both. I think including the map with the letter, so
Yes.
it's all one and all together, seems perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much detail we need. Holly, you might be right as far as simplification. Certainly we want all the streets, but sometimes that extra information helps us see, other details. But it's not like we're using this as a locus. This is a whole general area east of that red line. So probably
Yeah.
makes sense just to go with it.
So you can see it depends on what layers he puts on and what information is available, but whatever size he creates it as, you can still have some main roads labeled for ease
Yeah.
of view. And this right here gives an example of, here's that area where you all and the HDC have concerns of a zoning classification that's not within the Sconset Old Historic District zoning.
Yeah.
Right.
So can actually show those. Obviously topo lines aren't really necessary for you all. But if you wanted zoning on there, that definitely can be done. But I kind of envision it very similar to what SAB did. I'm looking up on my line, and they really show the small 55 core old historic district, and then with their boundaries around it, to
Yeah.
give that understanding.
Yeah,
For
actually, I think the more information, the better. Since we're talking about sort of a general conglomeration of all the different organizations and information within, I don't see any reason to. Yeah, I guess you could take the topo lines off, but that map's pretty clear to me,
Sounds good.
and certainly showing the lot lines.
Yes.
I'm even wondering about the topo. On my, recently I've made more trips out to Manicat than I have probably in the past 20 years because Diane and I have spotted a snowy owl out there at Esther's Point.
Oh, no.
And we keep going out there to see it again. And we just saw it a couple of days ago. But anyway, on the trip out, as you're going out Manicat Road on the right across from Sanford Farm,
Oh yeah.
that landscape is dramatically altered and not the best way by having a house on top of the hill, a rather large one. And I think that it's helpful to see what the topo says about where hills are for sight lines so that we avoid things like that in the future. So unless they're in the way, we may as well keep the topo references on there.
Good point.
Excellent.
Yeah, I certainly like the ability to get in close to the, the zoning areas, but it seems we can do that. So I love this map.
It's great to see the
And-
existing housing too. It's a lot farther out than we thought it was, some of it.
What is the date on this?
I think the base map is, it's up under the legend, Holly, sort of at the bottom of the legend at the top.
205.
Oh, yeah,
205.
there it is,
50.
2005. I was looking at it the other day, and with a lot of these PDF readers, there's a little magnifying glass. So
Oh, yeah.
in our depending on how many more months of this Zoom stuff we have to do, you can isolate an area without having to zoom into the whole map. And it's a great little tool so you can get little details like those lot lines we were just talking about in our previous application. And but it has to be in the PDF thing. But anyway, it's just a great tool. So yeah, I think having all the information that's available on this map as it is works fine, because it could be used to our benefit, saying, well, what's the elevation on that part? We can keep referring back to this.
Mhm.
If it's that simple, then I can ask him, Nathan, to just relabel this as, or in the legend, I think, Sconset Advisory Board Area Map as a proposal to the HDC.
Okay,
It's good.
sounds good to
good.
me. Excellent.
Excellent.
Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Holly, the Sconset map planning people are meeting January 12th
Oh, okay.
Oh,
For the
great.
area plan? Okay.
for the area
Thank you.
plan.
Thank you.
Right.
Good.
If that's something that you all as a Sconset Advisory Board are wanting to be or have the time to be able to participate in, I would encourage that. If they're looking for,
Yeah, I'm on both things. Rob, aren't you? I can't remember.
Just the one at the moment.
Okay, well, no, this is being generated by the Civic Association.
Gotcha.
I think Caroline is involved.
Yep.
Yeah,
good deal.
as I recall.
Okay, good.
Good to hear. As far as North Gully Road, I haven't heard any additional information. I think I mentioned before that there's conversation internally with staff and DPW. I think we'll be doing that at some point, maybe in the beginning of the year, to kind of emphasize what you all recommended and what the Civic Association is looking for, and what the town is willing to do and all that stuff. I think we're all in agreement as far as from a historic perspective of not having it so wide. So we'll see how that goes in the material, obviously.
Thanks, Holly.
So
Is it-
I'll keep you posted on that. I'm
I
sorry,
was
Angus.
Hey, is it possible to remove it off our list until something is proposed by the town?
Absolutely. Yep, I can do that. I can have Kadeem remove that from our list. And then once I have any update, I can put it back on. Not a problem.
Great.
Not a problem.
All right.
I-
To make
I'll-
oh, sorry. I was going to say I'd be happy to make a motion for the approval of the comments. But Holly, could you read what the comments are?
Yes. So I have no other, this is from Clement, no issues other than the proximity of the fence to the sycamore and the linden tree. Angus, fences usually go between houses as seen from New Street. It is inappropriate, however, the plantings will be nice. Invisible fence within the hedge works to keep the dogs out, which I'm glad that context came out of the conversation. random
kidding.
undulated fence to work with the trees. Robin mentioned that the info is helpful. Caroline indicated that we will see the end of the fence at New Street, and I think that's also important for the HDC to take that into consideration, because that butt end is not typical to have a fence all the way up to the street. Maybe it's pushed back a little bit, so maybe they'll take into some of those considerations. From a staff's perspective, I'm also going to indicate to them that the plan looks better from previously submitted, but it should provide the actual locations of both the structures that are in question, from the existing owners at 34 New Street, which I believe is Pam's, and the new owners in relationship to the proposed fence. Like I said, that site plan's a lot better. And then also that the fence, again, for context, is proposed due to the issues with dogs who used to have access to this lot. And I don't know about you all, but the comment, I think, from the owner, which again, it was helpful for him to be there, but mentioning about hedge being natural, and hedge is definitely not natural.
No,
So no.
totally invasive.
That's what I have. If there's anything else I can add, let me know. But
Thanks.
That's good.
So somebody want to second Angus's motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion to accept the comments, Caroline?
Yes.
Thank you. Mary Lathrop will.
Yes.
Angus, I'll take as a yes. Clement?
Yes.
Okay, and Rob is yes. That's unanimous. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor? Caroline?
Yes.
Thank you. Mary Lathrop?
Yes.
Angus?
Yes.
And Rob is a yes, and it's unanimous. And let's see. We'll see you next week if we don't see you at the post office.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Okay.
New Year.
Happy New Year, Holly.
Colin.
Thanks so much, Holly.
Drive
Bye.